Hello and welcome back to Wario Land 3. Today we'll be getting the rest of the chests. Not many to go now. A little bit of a scare just now. Our Audacity had some trouble, but reinstalling it fixed it. So let's start by heading to the vast plain. Because there's something we can now do here that we could do before we just didn't think to. Because there's quite a lot of areas where you can kind of forget you haven't been yet. And coming up is one of them. That's kind of the problem with this game's strategy of having you not go to many places very often, but yeah, it's through here. This weight. Now we've dropped the weight, we can actually get through here. And we have a somewhat tricksy little puzzle here involving these weird eye doors and this guy. The important thing first is go through the eye doors and be very careful of those noises. These zombies can be a pain. Right now we need to avoid them so we can get through this door and to that key. So next, to get to the actual thing, we'll need to do something quite tricky. We need to make sure we get zombied right here so we can hit that light. That took a while to get right. Because if you come in here as a zombie, we can't do anything. Also, if you come in here as invisible Wario, we can't do anything. So we have to do that to get to that door. And then we have this little invisible platform maze and the chest. And we have the ruby. I like that each of the gems have a unique kind of visual style, rather than all being palette swaps of each other. That's a fun visual thing. The fact that they actually rewrote the cut of the gem each time, or redrew, I guess. Yeah, well, it's faster to go this way. So actually we're visiting the Warped Void. Which is pretty interesting. Because we haven't been here for a while, and it's a very weird level, this one. So let's go through a few of these and see what the puzzle we find is. We need to break these blocks. But not from here. So this is the trick. We actually need to use this first, because we can't get them down the ladder, so for now we just need to use this barrel, being careful not to drop, so we can break those blocks instead. And it's very easy to accidentally get nudged and drop the barrel because of this big bouncy guy that makes you bounce and lose the barrel, but at least now we've got enough of the blocks out of the way. So let's move on a bit further, shall we? I weaponized that there completely by accident. So we can't go that way. And we can't go that way. What we instead need to do is go this way. Into this little bowl here. And now you may notice on the other side of those blocks, and another barrel. Same puzzle as before, really. It's just a symmetrical puzzle, which I don't mind. It can be a little bit kind of like feeling like they're running out of ideas, but I don't mind symmetrical puzzles sometimes, and this game doesn't use them very frequently. So I don't begrudge it this one. Yeah, unfortunately this isn't quite enough. We need to break a few more of these blocks to actually get through there, because dashing we have to be able to jump there. But luckily these guys respawn very quickly. These stupid big jumpy guys. But it's very easy to kind of not get the angle right with this, with the barrels and stuff. But it is a very easy thing to mess up. It's a bit tricky if you haven't done it for a while. And much like the levels, a lot of the mechanics in this game don't get used very frequently, so a lot of the mechanics in this game you can kind of forget how to do them well, including especially throwing objects and enemies. So there's the key. Now, I really shouldn't have just dropped down there. I should have just jumped back, but that was just me being an idiot. But we have a little ways around there now. So let's get back up there, shall we? After my thoughtlessness. Yeah, it's quite tricky to time that ladder right, but that's kind of the trick to it, is just jump up it while he's up. But now we need to go this way. Into this little pit. And be very careful that that can be quite tricky to deal with when it suddenly throws you into those kind of falling sequences. It doesn't do it very often, and I'm kind of glad that this is the only level that really does that. Because the closest thing that comes with that kind of thing is the big pit. But the colossal hole at least has you mostly going up rather than going down. But here we have the demon blood, which summons this zombie. So let's return so far. Well, not return there quite yet. We still have other things we can do. I'm actually forgetting what number I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for this up here right now. Yeah, it can be quite confusing with the numbering, because again, they're completely out of order based on the order you kind of unlock them in, but not the order they appear on the map. And even then, not quite right in some cases. Like, sometimes you unlock, like, level 3 way after level 6. It's a bit confusing to kind of figure out which level's which sometimes, if you haven't been somewhere for a while. But at the very least, it's the last video I need to worry about that, because after this, all we need to do is return to the levels one by one. So after this, we'll have all the chests. Then it's just a matter of getting the coins. That little thing. So we have something else to do in here now. Because this is where that jackhammer was. I quite like these little guys. I've forgotten about them almost entirely until they show back up here. I quite like that the game does that, of kind of like having enemies that sometimes don't appear for long enough you kind of forget about them. And then it's like a nice little surprise when they show up. So now we have to go this way. And this part's quite easy, but the part after this is quite annoying. They're the same part. But you'll see what I mean by that in a minute. First we need to use our Bat Wario to get up here. And avoiding these shafts of light, of course. But that can be kind of weird because of the colour of the waterfall things. Well, the updrafts, rather. It can look looking like the updrafts count as light, but they don't. It can be a little bit weird because it's just a little bit lighter in such a way that it kind of almost matches the shafts of light, which can be a cause of slight confusion. So now it's just like the annoying part. Now we've got the key. The chest is in the other direction, which of course requires us to avoid the bats this time, which is quite tricky because it's very easy to accidentally fall into them, like I almost did there, and get turned into Bat Wario, and therefore be unable to move on because Vampire Wario can't open chests. So he can get down here, but he can't do anything about it. Interesting enough though, he's also, as you saw earlier, immune to updrafts, because he's, I guess, too heavy. I guess that works with the zombie as well, that the undead warriors are just generally, like, dense, physically speaking. But now you have these night vision goggles. This animation is going a little bit too long, I feel. I feel they didn't really need to loop it the way they did it. The way they did. But now we can actually see this door from Sea Turtle Rocks, which we have been there before, even if we don't recognise it. I certainly wouldn't have. But first let's head here though. Because we're just going in order of the chests I know we can get. I figured I might as well go here first because it's closer than these turtle rocks. Might as well get this one out of the way. There's a method to my madness, I'm not just being an idiot. And deliberately confusing. So in this unique looking doorway, we have a new challenge. But it's really the same challenge we've had before in a different location, with a different palette, this graveyard. A lot of zombies. And here we kind of have to be careful to thread the needle to actually get down there, because of course we need to be down there as Zombie Wario, because he can pass through those obstacles. And of course we need to be at the exact right spot, otherwise... Well, otherwise we'll be blocked off by a bunch of torches. So there's the blue key. So now we have to stay as normal Wario. Because now we need to, of course, go all the way to the end of this section. That was pretty lucky timing to actually get caught then. And here's our last key for this level. Last chest rather. And here we have a blue key card. We got the red one ages ago, and we can finally see what happens when we get them both. Same, kind of funny with the chemicals and key cards, we got them so far apart from one another. You nearly forgot the other one existed. So we've released an enemy here. So we'll see what we do with them. I quite like that even this late in the game we're still doing new stuff with unlockable stuff in each level. That's quite fun that the game's kind of set up in such a way that so many chests give some kind of a new path somewhere. No matter how many chests you've got, you're likely to have missed at least one that unlocks a different path somewhere else, which is very fun. You know, it's like a lot of treasures that don't really do anything have certain sets that they kind of belong to. But I'll go into that when we enjoy our treasures, when we have them all. Yeah, this level definitely feels like the most arbitrary of all the levels, because it's just kind of just random assets all over the place. But to be fair, that fits the vibe as the weird void area. This is a cool little section over these little kind of nested rocks. It's a cool vibe there. I have a feeling those ladders are probably for something I've either forgotten I already did, or that there's some kind of a a golf coin, but yeah. We'll see them when we see them. But just enough Fat Wario jumps to get there. And break that block, which is very important. So before we go across there though, let's go this way. Because we need to go a bit further this way to actually get to where we need to get to. Which of course is here, because now we're actually underneath that thing, and to the left of that block we just broke. Which gets us over here. Now let's go back to non-flat. And there's our key. One thing I'm looking forward to, though, when it comes to getting the coins, is it's going to be a lot less annoying, because we don't have to finish all of these puzzles, and we can do each level on a single pass. Rather than needing to keep coming back when we get new upgrades and stuff, because that part was getting kind of old, because this game is quite fun, but just the amount of stuff it expects you to memorize is insane, especially for someone like me who's neurodivergent and has terrible memory. Like, I have no way of remembering which levels unlock what where on my own. There's 100 intersecting paths that go in all sorts of directions. To me, that's just kind of insane trying to memorize that. It doesn't really do anything, but it's nice to have the hot quest. Let's finally see what's in that door and see total locks that we can now see finally. So it's around here. Remember, before we only really used this area as a navigation tool. And even then that was only really when we messed up. But here we actually need to go in here because that is where the room was that was too dark to see anything in. We can see this platform, but not this door. And if we can't see the door, according to Wario, it doesn't exist. So we couldn't have just found it by looking. And even if we could have, we couldn't have seen it in this room anyway, it would have been too dark. Now this is quite an annoying series of jumps because it's such a low ceiling, you have to be very careful to jump at the exact right height. I fall down there all the time. So let's get through these little obstacles on this little trolley. These are fun though, I like these little trolleys. There's the key. Now we have another trolley. Which amusingly, this is one of the easier puzzles actually to do in the whole game, if you don't screw it up like I do sometimes. It's kind of funny, sometimes you get really easy puzzles like in the middle of right at the end of a game, and sometimes you get really hard ones right in the middle. Like, it seems like a common thing I've found in a lot of games, where you get like halfway through the game and it's like the hardest boss in the whole thing, and then the final boss is kind of a cakewalk. In so many games where I get stuck on mid-bosses rather than final one. But here we have the full moon gong, which is one of our last treasures. And it will be the last one to have an actual effect. One of the last ones to have an effect. Summons the moon in the clouds, but only at night, obviously. So in above the clouds, we have to do this part of the level at night. Because the moon won't exist otherwise. So you're not hardly going to go into the sun. That would be silly. Yes, Wario, this is a game, well done. Now here, I tried to go into the thing, but forget to close the menu first. Kind of the problem with these weird little side menus is it's kind of hard to remember which controls do what with them, but we have to go all the way to the top here. So we'll skip the first area because we've seen that multiple times already. We'll just go to this upper area. As I get used to remembering the layout of it anyway. This level's probably the biggest pain because it's just so annoying to navigate because almost all of it is timed platforms and that's just exhausting. I don't mind timed platforms when they're in short bursts, when it's the entire, like 2 screens of an entire level all at once, that can be a bit much. Because it gives you no time to just chill. I mean, certainly some platforms give you a little bit of time to chill, but not nearly enough. So yeah, there's the key. We just need to drop down to it. So we need to go further up. As you might expect, the moon's quite far away. Which means unlike this balloon, we have to go all the way up. And there's our moon. Although I did accidentally cut out me dropping to actually get the key, but the key's just to the right of that platform falling under the... Sorry about that. That was me being a little bit sloppy on the editing there. And then these guys are going to be a pain as well to get this rock. It's been a long LP, I hope you can begrudge me that one little editing mistake. These guys are really annoying though, because they have to be at like the exact right height, and if you miss once you completely screwed the entire thing. I do like we have to use this to actually get up there with it as well, but that's fun. And I'm glad I did that, and you'll see why in a minute. I do like this little like nighttime remix of this level music though, it's quite cute. But yeah, we need to actually use this bird to get up there. Like this. Wait. Now be careful of these red platforms. And this bird. Cheeky bird. Now this is quite a tricky jump actually, because you have to be at just the right kind of angle to actually hit any of these blocks. As you can see, it took me a lot of tries, hence we've been glad I broke those blocks at the beginning. Sometimes if we do that rock bit would have been annoying. Here's our penultimate chest, the pickaxe. I'm sure you can do better than that, Wario, but whatever, that's going to be good enough. So let's head back to the East Crater to get our final chest for the whole game. Chest 100. Of course, I forgot that it was in that, the East Crater. Because I'm an idiot. There we are. Been a while since I've used that screen, hasn't it? But it's much easier to reach though, because it's right at the beginning of the level. So we only really have to deal with one of these little stingy things. Little jellyfish thingies. It's good because they're annoying. I did not time that on purpose, but I'm glad it happened like that. So now we have to be careful of the thing that makes you fat, because if you go fat, you drop the barrel. So apparently fat people have no upper body strength according to this game, and can't lift things. So you just need to get these barrels arced over these all walls, just at the right angle to be able to catch them again, which is an interesting idea, that, really. Before, we've never really had to effectively catch another item before. That's a fun little thing. It's a little annoying to actually do, but it's a cool idea. The ultimate key. Unless we accidentally pick up other keys on the way, we can pick up keys on the way to get like our coins later on, but we'll see how that goes. So of course we need to get this over these walls and then up that snake. I meant riding the snake. Get your head out the gutter. Now you might think the lower area has a coin. Maybe it does, I can't see it from here, but it might just be empty. Just a little troll area. Here's our final chest. This clay doll. It's a classic Japanese doll, really. It was one of Angemon's Digivolutions in Digimon, if I remember correctly. But there's our final chest. So now I'm just going to go through the treasures we've got, because we've got all of them now. See, 100 out of 100. So we've got our crayons at the bottom there. We've got a fire extinguisher, and then we've got a few little transport items that the train, the car, and the UFO. Magnifying. We also have those little the playing card suit gems at the top there, and a few special items as well, like the goblet and the kettle and the clay doll and things. So most of these items don't do anything, all the crayons really did, but now we have other things like some of the items that came in pairs, but also the 3 gems we collected, and the crown and the Bakelite phone, and then the sun and moon tablet over there. And then a bunch of these items that just kind of came together to unlock new abilities, or just did it on their own. And of course, even more items that unlocked abilities, as well as a few things that don't really do much, like the doll. And here's the first page with the music boxes and most of our upgrades. So thank you for watching, have a nice day, goodbye. I would like to thank James Rossi for supporting me on Patreon as my Bio-Enchanted leg tier. I really hope other people can also join my Patreon to help support my channel and help improve the amount of resources I have for making better videos and being able to put more time into more elaborate thumbnails and title cards and things like that. Because I'd like to be able to have more time to really work on those kind of visual aspects beyond the actual video itself. Thank you.